This video is made with the sponsorship of Ecrotech New Zealand, one source for all your beekeeping requirements. Hi, Trev here from Trevs Bees on Facebook and YouTube. Well, if you watched the last video, you saw we took off a box of honey. So now we're going to do the next stage and get the honey out of the honeycomb and get it into a bucket so we can have a look at the products of our labour. After all, let's be honest, that's what we run the bees for, at least so we can get a bit of honey out of it. Not solely, we want pollination, we want save the bees and all that other good touchy-feely stuff. So I just want to run you through a couple of things of how I do my uncapping and extracting. And just here I've got my extractor. I don't usually do the extracting in here. Usually I go and take all my honey to a certified kitchen so that we can actually are allowed to sell the honey afterwards. So when I got a little bit just at the end of the season, this is how I do it. So I've got a modified drip tray, and it's got a little stainless steel screw in here so that I can actually sit the frame on top and I can rotate it around while I'm doing the uncapping part. I'll show you that shortly. I have used all sorts of items for uncapping, but this is what I use nowadays. I have used electric capping knives, I've used steam driven capping knives, I've used a kitchen fork. I spent some money and brought one of these prickers to help get the thick honey out of the combs. Well, mostly the only thing it took out was money out of my wallet, so I don't use that anymore. I've also used a paint gun, a paint heat stripping gun, so I can actually remove the cappings with a heat gun. That works, not bad, except that the cappings pop everywhere and make a hell of a mess. So I'm just going to show you what I've currently got to. I just see one of my girls wandering up here, just as a little thing. This is just an open mesh, goes to outside. I can put a cover over it to stop the rain coming in. But right up here, I've got a little hole, which is smaller than my little finger. I watched the bees and I found that they all walk up here. And eventually, they walk up here, outside, they go out, so it's my version of a bee escape. Works well. Filtering your honey. You can use stainless steel meshes, which are available from, you can get them from the $2 shop, you can get them from the Honey Centre. They're actually designed to fit over a 20-litre bucket. But I find that the best thing that I like are these things, are paint strainers. Don't get carried away with the fact that they're paint strainers. They're brand new, they're clean, but just to make certain anyway, I give them a wash before I use them. The thing I like about these is that they are already built into a sock. So I can set that very quickly over my bucket. And that will shrink down as the wax goes on there, it'll sink down and the wax filters out of there. They're very fine micron. But the trouble is that the weight of that wax will actually push it down and drop it into the bucket, which is not what we want. So I tie them on, and I use this cord, and it's got 2 loops in it. So when you actually put those loops around, as you can see, they don't meet up. I'm just going to show you a little fancy knot that I use. So you take the free end, put it through the first one, put it through the second one, and put it back through the first one. I don't care how it actually loops around, but we've now got in here, as you can see, we've got 3 strings. So we put this over the top, loop it round nice and carefully, and we just pull that tight. I need to make sure that I have caught all the cloth, and when I'm happy that all the cloth is underneath the rope, I can pull it properly tight. I only use these filters once. Once they've been used, they get thrown away. I can't be bothered washing them. You never get them all clean properly. So that's all pulled through there. When I give that another tighten up, that can sink in down in there and it won't come undone. I can just pull one of those cords loose and all that comes apart again. So, here's our first victim. There's a couple of ways you can use a capping scratcher. If you want to be quick, you can just rub it like that until you're sure that all those cappings have been broken. Doesn't really matter whether you go upwards, downwards, sideways or any other bit in between. You just want to make sure that all the cappings are broken. Okay? Or what I prefer to do is I just like to go in here like this and I lift the caps off, and you can be quite quick about it. So I just open that edge up so we can actually get in there to work on it. And you can see how I can spin this around on my little stainless steel screw that I got up there. The thing that I like about doing it this way is that I don't get very much wax into the capping bucket, or into the bucket as I'm straining it, because I've got all the capping up here. I usually have a bucket sitting up on the shelf and I scrape all this capping wax into a separate bucket. But I'm being lazy today. So that's it. That one's all uncapped. So now we just need to be careful that we don't dribble any honey anywhere. And we put that in the machine. And we carry on. And we do the rest. What I also do, these bits of burr comb usually, I scrape off. So I give the frames a rough clean at the same time. This one hasn't got very much capped, but I've already checked it. This honey is dry enough. more cells I missed. And that's what I like about when you lift the caps off, you can actually see if you've missed any. Okay, that's frame number 6. Goes into my 6 frame tangential spinner. Has a variable speed, forward and reverse. We're not going to turn that on right now. I just want to show you another couple of things. I have a bucket of hot water here. I don't have water in my shed, so I have a bucket of water here so that I can wipe my hands, and any bits of honey that I dribble on the floor, I can clean them up without making a mess and having them go everywhere. I also have a bucket here, which I'm going to talk about later, which all this cappings goes in here into some butter muslin that my lovely wife has sewn into a bag. So I've got 2 of these big bags. Put them into the 20-litre bucket, then I'll lift them up, tie them up, and I'll allow all the honey to dribble out through there. These have been washed and cleaned and they're good. So we're getting close to the stage where we need to start spinning. Oh, the other thing, as I'm going, as we start extracting, I've got my refractometer. It's graduated. I've got the graduating oil here. Honey has to be below 18.5 on the scale so that it doesn't ferment. If it's over 18.5, it ferments. But if some of my honey is a little bit wet, I just use that first. So now, this is the bucket that I have been using. We're ready to turn on. So what we do is we turn the extractor on, and then I can wind up the variable speed unit. To about 80%. This doesn't make too much noise, but let's have a little bit of a lesson in beekeeping as well. The bees build the comb on an angle of about 9 degrees. So the honey is sitting there held in by gravity when it's sitting upright. So when it's sitting here like that, there's 9-degree angle on here to hold that honey in place. Also stops the babies falling out. We use centrifuge is using that angle to extract the honey, and we can actually see the honey as little stringy stuff landing on the side of the extractor and running down the walls. Because this has got the top bars all outwards, bottom bars inwards, as it's centrifuging around, it is extracting the honey off both sides of the frame. So I don't really need to reverse this, it'll accept both. Don't want to wind it up too fast too quickly, but I also have a little timer. So I set the timer going and I run that for 15 minutes. So in the next 15 minutes, what I do is I uncap the next 6 frames ready to go in there. So that's what I'm going to do now, except I've only got 4 left to go. Okay, so now what we want to do, we've put all the cappings wax that I've done here, plus a few other jobs that we've done, and I now need to drain all the honey out of here. So I've got my little rope, so what I'm going to do is just find one of these cords that will pull out up for me, find the right one, that one there. Now this will all loosen up. Normally I would have my knee pressed on here, but I know that in this bucket is only this big bag. So what I'm going to do is pull all the top of this big bag up as much as I can. I've got another little cord around here, and I'll do a little loop knot around here. Two half bowlines, and up here I've got a nail. So I bring the bucket over till it's in the right place, lift my bag up, and make sure that that bag is sitting right over the top of the bucket, and any honey that's in there is now running out through the bottom of that muslin. I'll leave that there for 2 days, 3 days, and that wax will be pretty dry. At that stage I will wash the wax over a big bucket, big rubbish bin, plastic rubbish bin, half fill it with water, put all that wax in there, and I'll wash it and rinse it, get all the honey out of it, and then that wax will go through my solar melter that we've already shown you on the video. This is the stage where we all want to see the opening of the tap. We're going to get all sorts of wax out of here and other rubbish, but it'll all go through the filter. You can see the wax in it, goes down through the filter, dropping into the bucket. That's what we've done the season for. And at this stage, now that the wax is coming through, or the honey's coming out I should say, I will get a bit of honey on my finger, smear it on the lens, have my first taste. That's not bad. Put that on there. Take my glasses off because I have trouble seeing, and have a look. And sometimes when you're trying to see the blue level of the blue line, when you're looking at it normally, you can't see it. But I find that if you rotate it around, either way, left or right, at right angles, you'll be able to see the light, see the blue line, and this is showing 17.5. So we're at least a whole scale percentage below the level that we need to be. So that's magnificent. The girls have done a good job. So now the tank's draining nicely, but you'll never get all the honey out. So just my little next tip, pull the bucket forward slightly and then tip the extractor forward until the extractor is almost resting on the bucket. Now we can see all that honey racing out through the honey gate. Few bees that are in here coming in trying to get their product back, but it's a bit late now. Okay, so that's it from the honey shed, extracting a box of honey. I haven't weighed the bucket, but I think that hive will have produced about 17-18 kilos of honey for us this year. Not bad in, what did we say, 9 weeks. So that's it from Trevs Bees on Facebook and YouTube. We'll catch you around next time in the beehive.